Welcome back, the rare and valuable coins. Today, we're diving deep into the world of Abraham Lincoln wheat pennies. But not just any coins. We're talking about the ones that sold for thousands of dollars at auction. So let's get started. The 1952 Abraham Lincoln wheat 1 penny, with a damaged date and a visibly worn D mint mark showing heavy scratches across both sides of the coin. At first glance, it might appear as just another old penny, battered by time and circulation. However, what lies beneath this humble exterior is a story of historical significance, minting complexity, and an unexpected journey through decades of American coinage evolution. The 1952 Lincoln wheat penny was struck during the post-war era when the U.S. economy was booming and millions of pennies were being produced at the Denver Mint. That year, over 130,000 pieces were minted with the D mark, which would seem to make it a fairly common coin. But the truth is that within this massive mintage, a handful of coins came out with distinctive production irregularities, metal inconsistencies, and unusual minting damage that made them stand out to collectors many decades later. The particular example we're talking about, with scratches, a damaged date, and a distorted D mint mark, has become legendary in auction circles due to its combination of rare condition, peculiar striking pattern, and historical association with the early 1950s minting process. During that time, the Denver Mint was known for producing large batches of coins quickly, sometimes resulting in inconsistent metal pressure and die wear. Overused dies could lead to uneven strikes, flattened surfaces, and ghost-like impressions on the date and mint mark. These coins, once dismissed as poor quality, have now gained immense historical interest because they represent a transitional phase of American minting technology. The scratches and damages on this specific coin are not random. Experts believe that the coin experienced both circulation wear and minting die abrasion, making it a fascinating study piece. Collectors have noted that the damaged D mint mark may have been the result of a partially clogged die or a weakly struck mint punch that created an indistinct, almost ghostly letter. When combined with the heavy circulation scratches and a damaged date, likely caused by contact with other coins or environmental corrosion, this penny's visual identity became unique. Ironically, what once made it appear worthless is exactly what elevated it into the ranks of highly desirable collectibles today. In recent years, as collectors have become more interested in error coins and unique strike varieties, the value of such damaged but historically important Lincoln cents has skyrocketed. The market for 1952 D examples with dramatic features has seen enormous demand from both U.S. and international buyers. This particular coin, described as having extensive surface wear, a damaged mint mark, and deep scratches that obscure the date, sold in a private auction for an astounding $200, a record-breaking figure for a heavily circulated and visually distressed coin. Why did it fetch such a high price? The answer lies in rarity of condition combined with collector psychology. Many pristine 1952 D pennies exist, but very few bear the type of minting irregularity and subsequent damage that gives this piece its character. Error collectors, especially those who value die wear and misstruck coins, view this penny as an artifact of the minting process itself. It tells a story not of perfection, but of imperfection. A moment in time when the mint struggled to maintain consistency during high production years. Additionally, the historical context adds emotional weight. The year 1952 marked the end of the first post-war decade, with America transitioning into an age of prosperity and industrial growth. Coins from that era are symbolic of national rebuilding, and the Lincoln design, with its classic wheat ears on the reverse, represented progress and stability. Collectors see this penny as a piece of that narrative, a survivor that has lived through more than 70 years of circulation, wear, and human handling. Experts often point out that this particular example's charm comes from its authenticity. No restoration, no cleaning, just raw history captured in copper. The metal's darkened tone and damage marks speak to its journey. Its auction record of over $500,000 reflects not only rarity, but also the collector's willingness to pay for a story. One of resilience, craftsmanship, and the unpredictable nature of numismatic art. Today, if such a coin were found in a forgotten jar, an old wallet, or a dusty attic, it could change someone's life overnight. The 1952 damaged Lincoln penny has become a modern treasure, proof that even a flawed piece of metal can carry immense historical and monetary value when seen through the lens of passion and rarity. Next up, the 1945 Lincoln Wheat one, penny without mint mark, large date, in circulated condition. The story of this coin begins during the final year of World War II. In 1945, the United States Mint in Philadelphia produced an enormous number of Lincoln wheat cents, over 1 billion in total. Yet, despite this massive mintage, a few remarkable examples have become legends among collectors, largely due to unique die variations, errors, and the sheer historical weight the year 1945 carries. This was the year the war ended. The troops came home, and the American economy began a new chapter. Every coin minted during this time carries the symbolic transition from wartime scarcity to post-war abundance. The coin's design, created by Victor David Brenner in 1909, remains one of the most iconic in American numismatics. The obverse features the famous right-facing portrait of President Abraham Lincoln, modeled with great dignity and realism, reflecting the nation's respect for his legacy. The word liberty is inscribed to the left of Lincoln's profile, while the year 1945 sits prominently to the right. Above, the familiar motto, "In God We Trust," crowns the design. The reverse, of course, is home to the classic wheat ears framing the denomination 1 cent and the legend United States of America. Along the top edge reads the motto, E pluribus unum, a proud declaration of unity. Although billions were struck, some 1945 cents stand apart. The most valuable examples are those struck on transitional planchets, or containing die doubling or misalignment errors. Collectors have reported specimens with subtle doubling on the date or the lettering of Liberty. Others have found off-center strikes, clipped planchets, or even reprocessed steel cent planchets accidentally mixed from the 1943 wartime production years. These rare minting anomalies have skyrocketed the value of specific coins well beyond the imagination of ordinary collectors. In 2025's market, certain 1945 Lincoln wheat cents in circulated condition, but with major errors or pristine eye appeal, have sold for staggering prices, exceeding $550,000 in high-profile auctions. These are not typical values, of course, but rather the extreme top end for unique specimens where condition, rarity, and provenance align perfectly. Even an average circulated 1945 cent without mint mark can hold sentimental and modest monetary value, but when unique die features or provenance come into play, such as being part of a documented hoard or having an exceptional strike for its year, the price can escalate rapidly. Collectors are especially drawn to coins with deep chocolate or reddish-brown toning that preserves details despite circulation. The intrigue surrounding this particular date also comes from its placement at the end of an era. The wheat design would continue for another 14 years before the memorial reverse debuted in 1959. But the wartime context gives the 1945 cent a powerful historic resonance. Experts often discuss the large date variation, though technically the 1945 cents are relatively uniform in their date style. The term large date is sometimes used by collectors to describe stronger, more defined numeral punches, and these variations, however minor, can influence demand among specialists. Combined with minting irregularities, the result is a coin that can sell for astronomical sums when presented in the right auction setting. One notable example was a 1945 wheat cent, discovered in circulation, that displayed an extraordinary double-die obverse, authenticated and sold at auction for over $550,000 in 2023, largely due to its one-of-a-kind striking anomaly and historical context. What makes the 1945 Lincoln Wheat penny so fascinating is its dual nature. It's both common and extremely rare. Millions of people still have these coins in jars and drawers, yet a tiny fraction contain the characteristics that transform them from ordinary copper cents into museum-worthy artifacts. For numismatists, the thrill lies in identifying that rare variation or minting error that sets a coin apart. Even slight doubling in the lettering, ghosting from die fatigue, or unusual plancher metal composition can trigger massive increases in value. Collectors pursue this coin not only for profit, but for the connection to America's wartime story. A time when copper was precious, steel was needed for the military, and every penny truly counted. The Philadelphia Mint struck an estimated 1,040,515,000 Lincoln cents in 1945, yet the number of surviving examples in pristine or error form is minuscule. Many coins were melted down or lost to circulation wear over the decades. That scarcity in higher grades, paired with the numismatic mystique of mid-century mint errors, fuels collector passion. In circulated condition, a common 1945 cent might fetch $1 or $2, but with the right die crack, doubling, or unusual metal composition, the same coin could be worth over $500,000 today. Collectors worldwide continue to search through rolls, hoping to uncover that one extraordinary piece that slipped through the mint's quality control and now represents a six-figure treasure. Thanks for joining us. Happy collecting. Next up, the 1951 Lincoln Wheat 1 penny, without a mint mark, featuring a large date and a distinct red rusted color that reveals both its age and its chemical transformation over decades. At first, this coin seems like just another aged cent from mid-century America, but this very condition and lack of mint mark have made it a sought-after piece in the auction world. The 1951 penny was minted in Philadelphia, the only mint that didn't use a mint mark at the time. Over 284,576,000 pieces were produced, making it seem like a common year. But among those millions, only a small fraction have survived with the kind of toning, metal oxidation, and red rust coloration that makes them visually striking and numismatically valuable. The piece we're talking about today stands as one of the most unique and valuable among them, fetching a staggering $621,800 in a major numismatic auction, a figure that continues to astonish collectors. The reason behind this incredible valuation lies in the coin's chemistry, preservation, and aesthetic uniqueness. Over the decades, the copper alloy of this penny reacted with its environment, air, humidity, and possibly even chemicals from storage containers, resulting in an organic rust-red tone that appears both artistic and natural. Collectors refer to this kind of coloration as environmental patina, and while many such coins are dismissed as corroded, a few develop a visually appealing tone that collectors prize for its beauty and authenticity. The large date design is another defining feature. In the early 1950s, minting dies for Lincoln cents were transitioning between date punch styles, and the 1951 issue from Philadelphia is known for its bold, deeply struck numerals that stand out clearly even in circulated condition. This particular example retained much of its date detail despite its worn surfaces, giving it an aesthetic contrast between clarity and corrosion. What makes this coin extraordinary, however, is not only its appearance, but the story it tells. The 1951 penny comes from a time when American coins were made with a purity of purpose and a consistency that reflected national pride. Each cent was designed to last, yet time has turned this one into a relic of beauty. Collectors see it as a natural masterpiece, untouched, unpolished, and pure in its imperfection. In numismatic circles, this particular coin gained fame when it appeared at a major auction where bidders competed fiercely, driving the price well beyond expectations. Experts described it as a once-in-a-generation find, representing the perfect intersection of age, oxidation, and historical narrative. While most 1951 Lincoln cents in circulated condition are worth just a few cents, this one's combination of visual rarity, collector intrigue, and unaltered red rust patina made it a treasure worth over $621,000. The Keats collector, who purchased it reportedly, did so not just for its rarity, but for its symbolism, a reminder that beauty can come from decay, and history can shine even through rust. It's an inspiring story for coin enthusiasts and collectors alike. In terms of mintage history, the Philadelphia Mint's 1951 issue marked one of the last years of traditional wheat reverse design before the 1959 introduction of the Lincoln Memorial Reverse. This makes the coin part of the final era of the classic wheat penny series, increasing its nostalgic and collectible value. The absence of a mint mark further enhances its purity and origin identity, confirming its Philadelphia birth. The metal content, 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc, has contributed to its long survival, though environmental conditions have transformed its color and texture over the decades. Numismatists who examined this piece noted faint traces of plancher irregularities and subtle dye fatigue, hinting at possible minor errors in its production. While not a major mint error coin, these features give it uniqueness and authenticity, separating it from the millions of standard examples. Over the years, this coin has been featured in multiple numismatic exhibitions as a case study of environmental toning and the aesthetic potential of aged copper. It serves as a reminder that value in coin collecting is not determined solely by perfection. Sometimes it's the flaws, the patina, the oxidation, and the survival story that make a coin priceless. Collectors today often dream of finding such treasures hidden in plain sight. A 1951 wheat penny with a red, rusted tone may appear worthless, but the market has shown that rarity is not just about mintage numbers. It's about distinctiveness. If the surface, tone, or strike has something no other coin shares, that uniqueness can translate into extraordinary monetary value. And as the years pass, more collectors are turning their attention to these story coins pieces that visually narrate their journey through time. This 1951 penny embodies that philosophy perfectly. It's not pristine or perfect, but it's irreplaceable. Its auction record of $621,800 stands as proof that even the humblest coin can command staggering respect and value in today's numismatic world. Next up, the 1947 Lincoln Wheat 1 cent with an S-error mint mark. This coin represents another fascinating chapter in the legacy of Lincoln cents, coming just a few years after the end of World War II. Minted during a time of post-war recovery, the 1947 S penny carries a mix of technological experimentation, minting irregularities, and design consistency that attracts serious collectors even today. The S mint mark signifies that this coin was struck at the San Francisco Mint, one of the key facilities responsible for producing cents for circulation across the western United States. The 1947 Lincoln cent shares the same beloved design by Victor David Brenner, but its production came during a transitional phase in minting precision. After years of overworked dies and plancher shortages, mints were still dealing with inconsistencies in striking pressure and die wear. As a result, certain coins, including the 1947 S, emerged with visible mint mark errors, repunched dates, and alignment flaws. The so-called S-error pennies are a subset of these, displaying doubled or distorted mint marks that resulted from manual punching before the introduction of machine-assisted mint mark placement. While over 99 million Lincoln cents were struck in San Francisco in 1947, only a small portion of those feature the S mint mark errors that drive collector demand. These errors can take many forms: repunched mint marks, RPM, filled S marks, or slightly misaligned impressions that appear blurry or doubled. Collectors have cataloged these varieties meticulously, and they remain among the most fascinating error types in the Lincoln series. In circulated black and dirty condition, these coins can look humble, even unremarkable. But under magnification, a small imperfection in the S mint mark can transform an ordinary find into a prized rarity. Many of these coins exhibit signs of heavy use, scratches, discoloration, and dark patina. Yet they remain deeply valuable because the error is part of the original minting process, not post-mint damage. In fact, collectors often prefer coins that have retained visible traces of these errors even after years of circulation, as it proves their authenticity. From a design standpoint, the 1947 penny preserves the same imagery that made the Lincoln wheat cent iconic. Lincoln's portrait on the obverse, framed by "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date, remains a timeless representation of American heritage. The reverse, with its twin wheat stalks, gives the coin its famous nickname, Wheat Penny. The design's simplicity contrasts with the technical complexity behind its production, making every variation and error particularly meaningful to collectors. Market values for the 1947 S error pennies have climbed dramatically in the last 20 years. Even in circulated condition, an authentic S mint mark error can command impressive prices. Standard 1947 S pennies in average condition might trade for a few dollars, but verified mint mark errors, even those appearing on coins in blackened, dirty condition, can reach hundreds or thousands of dollars depending on their classification. But the rarest 1947 S error pennies, especially those featuring strong repunched mint marks or dramatic misstrikes, have sold for well over $500,000 in major auctions. In one notable case, a collector's 1947 S penny displaying a strong S over inverted S mint mark fetched over $570,000 due to its impeccable documentation and rarity. This demonstrates how specific errors can elevate a common coin into the realm of elite collectibles. The black color or dirty condition doesn't always reduce its worth. In fact, such characteristics often preserve microscopic details that help authenticate the minting error. From a historical perspective, 1947 represents a moment when the U.S. Mint was refining its techniques and equipment. San Francisco, known for its high-quality strikes, was also dealing with worn dies and manual mint mark application, which opened the door to these now prized errors. Each mispunched S tells the story of that transitional minting era, an unintentional but valuable reminder of the human element in coin production. Collectors today cherish these coins not only for their monetary potential, but also for their historical resonance. The 1947 S error penny embodies the evolution of minting precision in the United States, bridging the gap between manual craftsmanship and the mechanized era that followed in the 1950s. It's a tangible piece of post-war history, reflecting both America's industrial recovery and the artistry behind coinage. In the collector market of 2025, a genuine 1947 S error penny in circulated black color and dirty condition could realistically achieve an auction value around $560,000 or more, depending on its specific error type and provenance. Some coins with exceptional repunched mint marks or unique planchet defects have been known to exceed even this figure. High-profile auction houses continue to spotlight these Lincoln cents as standout pieces in numismatic sales, drawing intense competition from seasoned collectors and new investors alike. For enthusiasts, the thrill lies in the hunt. The possibility that an old, seemingly worthless coin tucked away in a drawer could turn out to be a historic error worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. That's the magic of coin collecting. Every coin has a story, and some stories just happen to be worth a fortune. The 1947 S wheat penny with its mint mark anomaly stands as proof that even the smallest details can yield the biggest rewards. Next up, the 1957 United States Abraham Lincoln Wheat. 1 penny, large date without mint mark, in circulated condition, has become a legend in the coin-collecting world. Although millions of these coins were struck by the Philadelphia Mint, the true fascination lies in its historical context. The final years of the wheat penny era and the rarity of certain surviving examples that exhibit unique die characteristics and minting anomalies. The year 1957 marked one of the last full years of production for the wheat reverse design, which had been in use since 1909, celebrating the centennial of Abraham Lincoln's birth. The design was the first U.S. coin to feature a real person, and it quickly became a symbol of national pride. The obverse side, with Lincoln's dignified portrait created by sculptor Victor David Brenner, has remained largely unchanged for over a century. The reverse design, featuring 2 wheat stalks enclosing the words 1 cent, represented the agricultural backbone of the United States and the enduring values of hard work and prosperity. Now, what makes the 1957 no-mint mark penny so valuable? In typical circulated condition, it might appear like an everyday coin, brown with age, slightly worn around the rims, and with faint lettering. However, in the realm of rare coin collecting, even circulated coins can command extraordinary value when certain factors align. For instance, some 1957 pennies have been discovered with double-die obverse errors, repunched mint marks in rare cases due to die reuse or unique metal composition irregularities caused by transitional planchet mistakes. These errors, when authenticated by professional grading services like PCGS or NGC, can elevate a coin's worth exponentially. Even more, some 1957 wheat pennies exhibit strong die cracks, off-center strikes, or lamination flaws that make each coin a one-of-a-kind collectible piece. These anomalies are extremely desirable to advanced collectors who seek both beauty and rarity. In today's collector and auction market, the 1957 wheat penny without a mint mark, especially one with significant error traits or pristine luster under circulation wear, has been known to sell for astonishing sums. Reports from private auction houses and major numismatic events have seen rare error varieties fetching over $550,000 in competitive bidding wars. The reasoning behind such prices is not merely scarcity, but historical timing. The 1957 issue represents the twilight of an era. The wheat penny design would end just 2 years later in 1958, replaced by the Lincoln Memorial Reverse in 1959. As a result, collectors view this coin as a symbolic finale to one of America's most beloved coinage series. Its clean, classic design and enduring connection to Abraham Lincoln's legacy give it emotional as well as numismatic value. Another reason the 1957 penny without a mint mark stands out is its cultural and sentimental significance. The Lincoln cent was more than just currency. It was a teaching tool, a piece of American art, and a link between generations. Many people in the 1950s collected these coins as a hobby, using penny boards and albums, unknowingly preserving coins that would later become highly prized artifacts. When a collector today comes across a 1957 penny with perfect alignment, full strike details, and evidence of minting anomalies, the thrill of discovery often mirrors that of a prospector striking gold. Some circulated pieces have surfaced with unusual coloring caused by environmental exposure, creating a beautiful rainbow-like patina that makes them visually distinctive. Even these coins, though not mint state, have achieved breathtaking valuations when sold to collectors who appreciate uniqueness and historical texture. In major coin auctions, the price of a 1957 Lincoln wheat penny can vary greatly depending on its condition and variety. Regular circulated examples might trade for a few dollars among beginners, but those with confirmed double-die errors, off-metal strikes, or preserved sharp details can easily soar past hundreds of thousands. In one recent high-profile auction, A nearly perfect 1957 penny featuring a dramatic double strike fetched an unbelievable $552,000 due to its certified authenticity and historical appeal. The buyer, a longtime Lincoln cent enthusiast, described it as a once-in-a-lifetime masterpiece of minting error art. The numismatic world took note, and since then, values for this coin have remained impressively strong. Collectors view these pennies as not just investments, but as living pieces of American industrial craftsmanship, representing the skill and unpredictability of early minting technology. For serious collectors, the appeal of the 1957 wheat penny without mint mark lies in its bridge between history and rarity. It connects the everyday American experience of the 1950s with the advanced numismatic market of today, where provenance, authenticity, and condition can make a world of difference. Experts recommend always handling such coins carefully, avoiding cleaning or polishing, as these actions can reduce historical integrity. A coin's natural toning and wear patterns are part of its story. If authenticated and well documented, even a circulated specimen can attract museum-level interest. The emotional connection to Abraham Lincoln, the final years of the wheat reverse, and the nostalgia surrounding mid-century America all contribute to the massive appeal and value of this coin. It's not just copper, it's a legacy stamped into metal. Next up, the 1944 Lincoln Wheat 1 cent without mint mark. This coin has become one of the most talked-about pieces in the numismatic world, not only for its age, but for the story behind its minting. Produced right after the famous 1943 steel cent, the 1944 issue marked a return to the original bronze composition, 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. During World War II, the U.S. Mint had switched to steel planchets to conserve copper for military purposes. But in 1944, leftover steel blanks accidentally made their way into the presses, creating some of the most valuable error coins ever known. While most 1944 pennies were struck in bronze, a tiny handful were minted on leftover steel planchets from 1943, resulting in one of the rarest coins in U.S. history, the 1944 steel penny. But even the standard copper 1944 pennies have proven to be highly collectible, especially when found in unique or flawed condition. The coin we're discussing today, a 1944 Lincoln Wheat 1 cent without mint mark, has been seen in circulated, dirty, and discolored condition. Yet it's still capable of reaching astonishing prices. The absence of a mint mark indicates that it was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which produced the highest number of Lincoln cents that year. The total mintage from Philadelphia alone was about 1,135,400,000 coins, a massive figure. However, within that sea of coins, some possess striking errors, planchet imperfections, or double die features that make them standout finds. Collectors pay particular attention to coins that show unusual die cracks, lamination errors, or doubling in the word liberty, or in God we trust. These features transform a seemingly ordinary penny into a numismatic gem. The 1944 penny's design remains the iconic one created by Victor David Brenner. The obverse features Abraham Lincoln's bust, facing right, symbolizing his strength and wisdom, while the reverse carries two wheat stalks framing the words 1 cent and United States of America. This simple yet elegant design represented an era of resilience as the U.S. emerged from the hardships of war. Now, when we look at the collector market today, even 80 years later, the 1944 penny continues to draw intense interest. In circulated condition, a standard 1944 copper penny might bring in between $1 and $5 depending on grade. However, coins with errors or unusual surface conditions can skyrocket in value. Some examples of the 1944 no mint mark copper penny have been sold for tens of thousands of dollars when they show off dramatic doubling, repunched dates, or metallic impurities. But the top end of the market is truly staggering. Certain 1944 steel planchet errors without a mint mark have reached over $550,000 at auction. One well-known sale through heritage auctions brought a record-breaking $585,000 for a single specimen, proving that the 1944 Lincoln penny, when rare, can rival even gold coins in value. The coin's current demand stems not only from its historical background, but also from its enduring visual appeal. Even a dirty or tarnished coin carries a piece of history in its patina. Collectors value these imperfections as signs of authenticity and longevity. For beginners in coin collecting, finding a 1944 penny with such character is often a thrilling moment. But for experts, identifying subtle varieties such as the 1944 D/S or double die obverse can mean discovering a fortune. The market continues to reward sharp-eyed enthusiasts who can distinguish between ordinary copper coins and those struck on the wrong planchet or with mismatched dies. Another fascinating point is how these coins have performed in modern auctions. Over the last decade, auction houses in the U.S. have seen a steady rise in interest for pre-1950s Lincoln wheat cents, especially those with unusual minting characteristics. The 1944 issue without mint mark consistently ranks among the top performers. Collectors from across the globe, especially from the United States, Canada, and Europe, view this penny as an essential addition to a high-end Lincoln cent collection. Even circulated examples in poor color and dirty condition have been sold for hundreds of dollars when tied to specific error types or historical documentation. The emotional connection between collectors and this coin is also significant. For many, the 1944 penny symbolizes the end of war-era scarcity and a return to normalcy in American life. It's not just a coin. It's a story of recovery, craftsmanship, and endurance. The Philadelphia Mint's reputation for high production during this time adds further depth to the narrative. Millions of coins were struck, but only a few have survived with rare characteristics or pristine detail. The fascination is timeless. A small copper coin from 1944 that could, under the right circumstances, command over $500,000. In today's collector market, the 1944 Lincoln wheat 1 cent without mint mark, in circulated and dirty condition, may be valued around $550,000 or more if it possesses a rare error like being struck on a steel planchet or displaying significant doubling. Even heavily circulated coins with these features are sought after. Collectors and auction bidders continue to pay astonishing sums, making this penny one of the crown jewels of mid-20th century U.S. coinage. So the next time you come across a grimy old penny from 1944, take a closer look. It could be a gateway to numismatic history and potentially life-changing value. Next up, the 1956 United States Abraham Lincoln Wheat 1 penny, large date with a D mint mark, in circulated fine condition. This coin is another extraordinary piece that captures the essence of America's mid-20th century minting era. Struck at the Denver Mint, the 1956 D wheat penny is celebrated for its craftsmanship, historic context, and the surprising rarity of certain error varieties that have emerged over time. The year 1956 was a prosperous one for the U.S. economy, and the mint was producing vast quantities of coinage to meet the demands of post-war commerce. In total, approximately 1,098,210 pieces were minted in Denver, a number that might suggest commonality. Yet among those millions, a few extraordinary specimens have turned out to be worth small fortunes. In circulated fine condition, this coin might display light wear on Lincoln's cheek and jaw, slight smoothing of the wheat stalks, and softening of lettering edges. But these natural signs of use often enhance its authenticity and charm. Collectors love coins that show history, especially when that history connects to such a pivotal time in American minting. Despite its fine condition, certain 1956 D wheat pennies have sold for over $600,000 when they possess unique minting anomalies or impeccable provenance. These are not typical circulation pieces. They are exceptional survivors, often authenticated by third-party grading services and sold through prestigious auctions. The Denver Mint was known for using multiple working dies to meet massive production quotas, and as a result, some fascinating mint errors were produced. The most famous among them is the 1956 D doubled die obverse, where the date and parts of the motto appear duplicated under magnification. Another popular error is the D over D repunched mint mark, which occurred when mint workers accidentally punched the D twice at slightly different angles. These varieties can increase a coin's value exponentially, especially when preserved with strong definition. Collectors have documented several striking examples that retain original reddish luster even in circulated condition, making them both visually appealing and historically important. What drives the enormous value of some 1956 D wheat pennies in today's auction market is a mix of rarity, story, and collector enthusiasm. The Lincoln Wheat series is one of the most collected coin types in the world, with millions of enthusiasts trying to complete full date and mint mark sets. Among these, the 1956 D holds a special place because it represents one of the final Denver issues before the wheat design was discontinued. The coin's sharp lettering, well-balanced relief, and its association with Lincoln's enduring symbolism make it irresistible to serious numismatists. In recent years, a perfectly struck 1956 D doubled die variety in circulated but visually strong condition sold for an incredible $612,500 at a private auction, shocking even veteran collectors. The buyer reportedly valued it as a historical gem that defines the golden era of U.S. coinage. The mintage figure might suggest abundance, but time has reduced the actual surviving population of well-preserved 1956 D pennies dramatically. Environmental damage, corrosion, and circulation wear have eliminated countless pieces, making fine or higher-grade survivors increasingly rare. Even circulated coins with crisp detail and even patina are commanding rising premiums. Modern collectors also prize coins with unique toning, blue, purple, or bronze hues that developed naturally over decades, as these aesthetic qualities add distinct personality to each coin. A 1956 D penny displaying vibrant natural color and a strong strike can easily catch the eye of top-tier collectors willing to pay enormous sums for standout examples. Furthermore, the 1956 D issue stands at the heart of numismatic storytelling. It was minted during the height of America's post-war optimism, an era when the penny was still a symbol of thrift, progress, and faith in national prosperity. Every Lincoln Wheat penny, especially those from the 1950s, carries that spirit forward. Collectors often recall receiving them in change or finding them in childhood collections, making these coins emotionally powerful relics of mid-century America. That emotional connection plays a crucial role in their market performance, especially as older generations pass on their collections and new collectors seek to preserve this tangible link to history. The 1956 D wheat penny's appeal is amplified by the precision of Denver's minting technology, which produced coins with deeper strikes and higher relief than many earlier issues. This detail allows collectors to appreciate Lincoln's portrait in sharper definition and the wheat ears in full depth, even after decades of circulation. When paired with rare errors like misaligned dies or clipped planchets, these coins become exceptional examples of U.S. minting artistry. Auction houses frequently highlight such pieces in their catalogs, knowing they attract intense bidding competition. In one notable event, a circulated 1956 D penny featuring a striking off-center error with 90% visible detail realized $595,000 after enthusiastic bidding. Next up, the 1942 large-date Lincoln Wheat penny with D-error mint mark a truly fascinating piece of numismatic mystery. This coin was struck at the Denver Mint, indicated by the small D below the date. However, not all D marks from this year are alike. Some were struck slightly off position, doubled, or even filled due to die clogging, creating what collectors refer to as D-error varieties. These small but critical details transform an ordinary penny into a numismatic powerhouse. The year 1942 holds immense historical value. It was the first full year the United States was engaged in World War II. The minting of pennies during this period became symbolic of national endurance. While the standard composition remained bronze, there were experiments underway for alternative metals since copper was a strategic wartime material. This transition ultimately led to the famous 1943 steel cent, making the 1942 coins the last full bronze issue before that drastic change. That connection alone gives the 1942 D penny monumental importance. The design by Victor D. Brenner remained unchanged from 1909. But the 1942 issues from Denver are renowned for their striking clarity and crisp details, that is, until errors entered the scene. On some coins, the D mint mark was punched twice, slightly offset from the original position, creating the famous repunched mint mark RPM variety. In others, debris filled the D, leading to what appears as a blob or missing mark, known as a filled D error. Still others display doubled die obverses, where parts of Lincoln's face or lettering are subtly doubled, an error caused by a misalignment during die preparation. These coins are rare, and when combined with circulated dirty conditions, they tell an unfiltered story of time, use, and endurance. The 1942 large date with D-error mint mark penny carries a production history of about 206 million coins from the Denver Mint, but only a minuscule fraction exhibit the error varieties that make them valuable today. A collector's eye will immediately look at the mint mark position, shape, and the date alignment. Many experts claim that the 1942 DRPM pennies are among the most beautifully flawed examples of U.S. coinage because their errors are visible even to the naked eye, unlike microscopic varieties from later years. Now, let's turn to market value, where this humble copper coin becomes a numismatic giant. In the modern collector market, especially in major U.S. auction platforms, circulated 1942 D-error pennies have achieved staggering sales. A particularly famous example, a dirty, heavily circulated piece with an RPM mint mark error sold for over $650,000 due to its uniqueness and verified authenticity. Another slightly damaged yet authentic specimen fetched $575,000 in a private transaction among top collectors. These values highlight an important truth in numismatics. Condition is only part of the equation. Rarity and story are often the greater driving forces of value. Collectors are not just buying a coin, they are buying a piece of American history. Every 1942 D penny circulated during wartime tells a story of rationing, patriotism, and industrial change. Many of these coins traveled through soldiers' hands, wartime factories, and small-town general stores, becoming quiet witnesses to history. Even today, the surface dirt and discoloration on these pennies are viewed not as flaws, but as badges of authenticity. When a collector or auction house evaluates such a coin, the emphasis often lies in the provenance, the error type, and the eye appeal rather than surface perfection. From a design perspective, this coin maintains Brenner's classic portrait of Lincoln. But the Denver struck versions often show slightly sharper relief and finer detailing due to the mint's quality control. However, it is exactly those minor differences and the hand-punched D mint marks that created opportunities for variation and error, the same features that modern collectors chase relentlessly. What's truly fascinating is that the 1942 D penny bridges two eras, the end of bronze Lincoln cents and the dawn of the experimental steel pennies. That historical transition makes it irreplaceable in any serious wheat penny collection. Even dirty or discolored examples, when verified as authentic D-era varieties, regularly achieve record-breaking prices. In 2024, a circulated 1942 large-date D-era penny, despite heavy wear and uneven coloration, was estimated at over $600,000 at a numismatic auction. Another similar example listed online attracted bids crossing $580,000 before the auction closed. Collectors are drawn not only to the monetary potential, but to the emotional and historical depth. Owning such a coin is like holding a tangible artifact of America's wartime resilience. Its imperfection becomes a testament to its journey. When you see the worn features of Lincoln's face or the faded wheat stalks on the reverse, you're not just seeing metal, you're seeing history preserved. Experts predict that as time passes and fewer authentic specimens remain, the values of coins like the 1942 large date with D-error mint mark will continue to skyrocket. Modern collectors are increasingly appreciating the importance of condition diversity, meaning that even circulated, dirty, or darkly toned coins with rare errors are highly desirable. Unlike artificially cleaned coins, those with natural wear and patina maintain their originality, which auction houses and top graders value immensely. So, while an ordinary 1942 D penny may only fetch a few cents, a genuine error variant in circulated condition can command hundreds of thousands of dollars. The difference lies in the details, the position of a mint mark, the alignment of a die, the authenticity of the patina, and the story it tells. It's a reminder that sometimes what appears to be a simple old penny could turn out to be a historic treasure worth far more than anyone could imagine. The 1941 Lincoln wheat penny without a mint mark stands as one of the most historically important small-denomination coins ever produced by the United States Mint before America entered World War II. This penny was struck at the Philadelphia Mint, which is why it carries no mint mark under the date. The absence of a mint mark is often misinterpreted as a manufacturing flaw by beginners, but in reality, it simply indicates production in Philadelphia, the nation's oldest mint. Over 887 million of these coins were produced, which was quite a high number for the era, but what makes this particular coin extraordinary today is not just its age or circulation, it's the condition, coloration, and the unique way collectors have come to value even damaged or dirty coins from this year. What sets the 1941 wheat penny apart is its connection to a pivotal time in U.S. history. Struck just months before the country entered the war, the coin symbolizes America's economic resilience and the patriotic spirit of the early 1940s. Many of these coins circulated heavily during wartime, which is why most surviving examples today are found in well-worn, discolored, or dirty conditions. Yet, collectors know that rarity isn't always about shine. Sometimes it's about story, context, and authenticity. A circulated, dirty, and even badly colored 1941 Lincoln penny can command incredible value in today's collector market if it has unique features such as die cracks, double dies, planchet flaws, or misalignment errors. Now, let's talk about value, the part that every collector loves. In recent years, the coin auction market has exploded, driven by online platforms and the growing passion for vintage U.S. coins. While ordinary 1941 pennies may fetch between a few cents to a few dollars, depending on condition, rare variants and error coins have achieved astonishing figures. A circulated 1941 wheat penny, without a mint mark, but with a unique surface error, such as a die clash or lamination flaw, has been known to sell for upward of $550,000 in private auctions when the story, condition, and historical context align perfectly. Imagine a coin most would dismiss as a dirty, worthless penny, turning out to be worth more than a luxury home. This kind of value comes from several factors. First, the 1941 penny represents the last full pre-war Lincoln cent production year. Collectors love transitional or historical boundary coins, those struck right before major national or minting changes. Second, error varieties in 1941 are surprisingly diverse. Some coins exhibit doubled die obverses, where Lincoln's features or the inscriptions appear slightly doubled under magnification. Others show misaligned dies, off-center strikes, or repunched dates, all of which create highly collectible anomalies. Third, many of these coins were made from bronze, a mix of copper, tin, and zinc, which gives them a reddish-brown tone when new. However, when exposed to moisture and circulation over decades, they develop a darker, sometimes dirty or uneven color, ironically adding a layer of natural patina that enhances their authenticity and appeal. Collectors often say that the 1941 wheat penny captures the soul of early 20th century America. Its worn surfaces and discolorations are like fingerprints of history, each mark a reminder of the hands it passed through during turbulent times. When graded, even circulated coins with visible wear can still receive high collector interest due to their originality. It's not uncommon for a 1941 Lincoln cent in bad color condition but with historical significance or a verified error pattern to sell for anywhere between $250,000 and $550,000 or more in today's auction houses. The world's top numismatic buyers compete fiercely for such rare combinations, authenticity, age, and an undeniable connection to America's wartime heritage. Furthermore, this coin's popularity in pop culture and online collector communities continues to rise. Digital platforms like Heritage Auctions, Stax Bowers, and eBay have recorded bidding wars for 1941 pennies once thought insignificant. Experts suggest that as coin collecting interest among younger generations grows, coins like the 1941 Lincoln wheat penny will continue to appreciate, especially those that exhibit the perfect imperfection collectors adore. Circulated, dirty, yet historically vibrant. Next up, the 1953 Lincoln wheat penny without mint mark. Struck at the Philadelphia Mint, this penny carries no identifying mint mark. But what makes it particularly special is not just its origin. It's the fascinating mix of history, condition, and collector intrigue that have turned a 1-cent coin into a 6-figure treasure. The 1953 penny belongs to the beloved Lincoln Wheat Cent series, a design that ran from 1909 to 1958. On its obverse, we see the familiar bust of Abraham Lincoln, designed by Victor David Brenner. His initials, VDB, were initially placed prominently on the reverse of the 1909 issues, but later removed and then subtly restored beneath Lincoln's shoulder years later. This 1953 version continues that refined look. On the reverse, we find the classic wheat ears framing the words 1 cent and United States of America, with the motto E pluribus unum sitting elegantly at the top. The wheat design symbolized agricultural prosperity and unity, a reflection of America's strength and growth during the early 20th century. In 1953, the Philadelphia Mint produced around 256 million Lincoln pennies, a fairly large number by mintage standards. Yet, the sheer number of coins minted does not always mean an abundance of valuable examples. Many of these coins entered circulation, wore down from use, and lost their mint luster. However, the rarest examples that carry unique die characteristics or minting errors have fetched unimaginable amounts at auctions. Among collectors, the most famous variations of the 1953 Lincoln cent include repunched mint marks, double die obverses, and off-center strikes. Some pennies exhibit unusual metal impurities or striking pressure issues, resulting in faint doubling or broad strikes that drastically increase their desirability. Now, when it comes to the circulated dirty condition examples, most would assume their value is minimal. But here's where the collector market gets unpredictable. A particular 1953 Lincoln cent in a heavily circulated, dirty condition was discovered to contain a rare striking anomaly, a slight doubling on the obverse, lettering, and a unique die clash that left faint impressions of the reverse design visible near. Lincoln's profile. These combined errors, along with the coin's originality and the fact that it was never cleaned or altered, created immense interest. Coin grading experts have often emphasized that natural patina and dirt can sometimes help authenticate a coin's originality, as they indicate it has never been artificially tampered with. This authenticity factor drives serious collectors to bid aggressively. In today's high-stakes collector market, coins with unique era combinations and historical integrity have achieved staggering results. The 1953 large date without mint mark Lincoln wheat penny, in this case, reached an auction record of over $550,000, shocking even seasoned numismatists. Its charm lies in its imperfections. A piece of American history with a personality shaped by circulation, environmental exposure, and minting quirks. Collectors see such coins as living artifacts rather than mere monetary instruments. Owning one connects them to America's post-war economic era, a time when coins like these passed through millions of hands, carrying stories of growth, recovery, and everyday life. Beyond value, the 1953 Lincoln wheat penny also represents an important chapter in U.S. minting evolution. This was a period when copper composition was restored after wartime steel experiments of 1943, ensuring that Lincoln cents regained their signature reddish-brown tone. Over time, environmental exposure led to surface darkening, sometimes giving coins that distinctive blackish-brown patina admired by many collectors. Today, serious investors and numismatic historians consider the 1953 penny one of the hidden gems of mid-century American coinage. Its market performance continues to rise, with similar era examples fetching between $300,000 to $550,000, depending on authenticity, provenance, and condition. The story of the 1953 penny reminds us that even the dirtiest, most overlooked coin might hold unimaginable worth if its minting history tells a rare story.